The 7 Jewish feasts. In the Old Testament, in the book of Leviticus, God commands Israel to observe 7 feasts on a yearly basis. 4 of the feasts took place in the spring, and 3 of them took place in the fall. Because Jesus came to fulfill, carry out, and complete the law, the spring feasts were fulfilled perfectly. However, with Jesus' second return, the fall feasts will be fulfilled symbolically, and not exactly as they were outlined in Exodus. Tune in for the upcoming videos that will explain Jesus' fulfillment of the spring feasts and how the fall feasts will be symbolically fulfilled later and during the millennium. The Feast of Trumpets. The Old Testament practice. It was a memorial of blowing of trumpets. On this day, no servile work was to be done. It would be a time of rest. How will the Feast of Trumpets be fulfilled in the New Testament? This will be symbolically fulfilled when the angels with the 7 trumpets sound in the book of Revelation. Of course, the 7th trumpet ends this age and begins the first resurrection, where the born-again believers and remnant Jews will meet Jesus in the air. This will be a time of rest from servile work in the earth realm for us. Later, we will return with Jesus to establish his kingdom on the earth.
The Day of Atonement. The Old Testament practice. Between the Feast of Trumpets and the Day of Atonement is 10 days, which are called the 10 Days of Awe. During these days, the people would repent and get things in order for the Day of Atonement or Judgment. How did Jesus fulfill the Day of Atonement in the New Testament? Between the blowing of the 7 trumpets in the book of Revelation and the Day of Atonement or Judgment will be over 1,000 years. At the end of the 1,000-year period, Satan will be released from the bottomless pit to gather the inhabitants of Gog and Magog for the final battle. Following this war, the Day of Atonement or Judgment of all mankind will take place. The saints of God will receive rewards and live in New Jerusalem, and the sinners will be placed in the lake of fire or Gehenna.
The Feast of Tabernacles, the Old Testament practice. This was a feast of rejoicing and celebration. The people would take the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and rejoice before the Lord their God 7 days. In addition, they would dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born would dwell in booths, that their generations may know that the Lord made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. How will the Feast of Tabernacles be fulfilled in the future? During the millennial period, the entire earth will have to come to Jerusalem to worship the Lord in observation of this feast. Those families who don't attend will receive no rain.